That's as when I was apprentice carpenter. That was the envy of electricians. Were the envy of the carpenters because they had to carry fuck all tools around, whereas we fucking saws and band saws and like fucking tool upon tool upon tool of stuff. Half the time they just needed snips and other little bit and a screwdriver and other bits and bobs. They could just carry everything around their tool belt, but we had fucking hammers.
Carpenter for a while.
Yeah, 5 years.
What did you not do, Steve?
What was it like
I
being
was just gonna say your mama. But
Hey.
if I was a carpenter and you were a lady?
yeah,
would
my
you
working
be with
life has
me
been
anyway?
mad. My working life has been. So I did. I worked in bars. I worked in the teachers club, Club na Moon
Hang on,
Tory.
a teachers club.
Yeah, so the
What's that?
INTO, the Irish National
Staff
Teachers
a
Organisation.
staff room. Is that what you're saying? Isn't that
It's
a
a
teachers club?
social club, so it
Oh,
kind of
right,
is.
right.
Of the union of the Irish National Teachers Organisation. It's great crack down. Like going there for a pint. It's great crack. And then all sorts of people would rent out the building during the week. So the Shinners would have meetings in there, but then you'd have
Sinn Féin.
yeah.
All sorts of people. The Shinners were there. Republican groups were there.
But then you had this lad who
Different
used to
nights.
always help out immigrants, specifically I think Filipinos who just come to the country and haven't figured certain things out. So he would meet downstairs on a Saturday morning. So it was like Mary Lou would be on her way upstairs, shoving her face with a sandwich, right, to get up if she's late for a fucking meeting, while the Filipinos are downstairs sorting out visa things or whatever. And then you'd have the Goleen singers, which were like traditional Irish singers that they were like, they'd ring a bell at the start and geez, by fuck, you better not make any noise. They hate if anyone makes any noise. Like even the of the Guinness tap.
Are they recording or something?
No, they're in a room, they ring the bell, and someone starts singing, and then the next person starts singing. And as you can imagine, it's all very happy stuff.
That's probably the Sinn Féin meeting
But
as well.
they'd
is
go
it?
for 3 or 4 hours just singing songs.
Like Shano stuff. Or
Just kind of storytelling kind of songs. And yeah, but that was a fascinating. So I worked there when I was in school, like kind of on the weekends. First job was actually on a farm. I was thinking about this the other day. What was like just a farm hand when I was 12. I think because I was the eldest, my dad, and I was a bit of a, I don't think I was that bad of a kid, but my dad was just always like, fucking go do something all
Get
the
him a
time.
van.
Get him. So
Dig shit. Dig up big piles of manure.
yeah, the first day on the farm, a fucking gate fell on top of me. I still have the scar on my wrist.
Day one.
Yeah, day one. The first thing, the farmer's in the tractor, he's like, move that gate. Whatever I fucking touched, knocked a load of gates that were tied together, and the whole thing just, I was just under. The first move, I was under gates, and he was like, all right, and it was my fault, of course. Like, he was like that, okay, one thing to learn on the farm is everything's dangerous. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's your first day, first job,
day. on the
adulthood.
12. I was fucking 12. Like, my
Man.
brother, by the way, did fuck all. He just got away with the whole thing. He was like 15 months younger, but he never did any work. I remember
was he the youngest?
he's the middle, and then my daughter was my
Tight
sister.
family.
Tight, very tight.
Tight.
My sister was the youngest. But I remember another. I forgot to close a gate at the wrong time when he was herding sheep in to be sheared, and like, because there's fucking hundreds of sheep running at you. He's like, close the fucking gate! He's shouting at me.
And you just fell
I'm
asleep.
like, whoa!
There's too many sheep.
There's too many fucking sheep running, and then you just have to.
Sheep
Like,
can be frightening
of
when,
course
when they're in large numbers.
eyeballs for a fucking starter. Mental.
100 of anything is scary, I think.
Exactly. Close that fucking gate. And of course, I didn't. I split second too late, and they all fucked off back out again into the field. So I didn't
Then you had to
fucking
dress up as a sheepdog and run around, chase them back.
That's what I was thinking. Why don't you have a dog for this shit? Like, why am I here like a fucking 12-year-old?
You're
Bleeding.
cheaper, Steve. You're cheaper.
Paid in ham sandwiches. That was it. And then, so when you herd the sheep, then you had to. The shearers would come in. They were amazing. They'd fucking throw the
So
sheep
quick.
upside down. So quick. It's amazing. But then they would throw the fleece at me, and my job was just to pick the lumps of shit off and put it in the trailer.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do they call them? The dangleberries?
Oh, they're serious dangleberries. Like they're dangleberries. Like, do you know that like the fast bag for boxing? That's the size that they were. Like
wow.
big fucking yolks hanging.
But
off
it's only
you.
sheep shit, so it's not really.
Yeah, I know,
sheep
it's not
shit's
gonna kill you.
Yeah, it's grand. They just eat grass and that anyways.
Yeah.
Don't they I've heard they send that. What would you call it? The fur?
Fleece.
Wool.
Fleece.
Fleece.
Yeah. Jesus
The
Christ.
fur?
I'm been hungover.
Yeah, the shit.
It was
You
Paddy's
know
Day.
what
It was Paddy's Day
It was Paddy's
yesterday.
Day per Eddie.
Furry sheep.
Fur.
Man, it was
That
bad.
sounds like they're trimming their pubic hair.
Yeah.
I had a
Get the
few
tangles out of
drinks
me
last
pubes.
night. All right, my words might be mixed up in this.
Yeah, this is
the
nice.
fleece is then sent to China, where they then produce it back into wool,
Right.
and then it's sent back to Ireland to be knitted into Aran sweaters.
Oh,
So it's
God,
more.
really? Wow.
It's more the way the fucking labor market is. It's cheaper
To
for
fly to China.
to fly to China, and then to fucking or boats or whatever the way they get there, and then they do it in the factories, send it back.
Cheaper to hire a bold boy from a council estate than get a sheepdog.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the
It's all
market.
about-
It's the
all-
market. That's what he said. Yeah.
It's all about the money. Man, working on. I think farm work is good for kids though. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're not getting destroyed or
Yeah.
chased by
You've done a
angry
bit
sheep.
as well, Damo.
Yeah, like I used to work in a sheep shed.
You did work in sheep.
And we slept in there as well. Like there was me and a few of my mates, and we were probably about same age, 11, 12. And then like you'd be on a grate over the sheep shit. You know, how there's a grate, so the plops just fall through the grate. And then we'd have like a little mat and a sleeper bag, so we'd sleep. So there's just wool and turds all around you. It was scary, man. They're kicking.
Yeah.
They're like, man, like they don't want to be there, man. And I'm like, dudes, it's just a haircut. You're not getting killed. That's later. That's later. It's just a haircut.
Not today. Calm down.
And it's hot. You know, you get rid of this big coat. You know,
I would love to see 12-year-old Damo giving a pre-speech to all the sheep in the field.
Just prepping.
Everybody calm down.
Chill out, guys.
It's just a haircut today. Okay.
Yeah. That's
number 2.
Lamb chops later. Okay.
I know I had some for that. You didn't know who we ate last night. It's different.
What do they do with mutton then? Because lamb is tasty, but with mutton, is that just sold as meat as well? It's
Yeah,
not
so
really
it's
as
just,
common.
so the difference between the three of them, you've got lamb is between the age of 1 and 2, or maybe it's just the first year, and then you've
Junior
got
infants.
junior infants. Yeah. And then
Play school.
Yeah.
Junior infant sheep.
We won't beat you now till you make first class. But then between lamb and mutton, you have hogget.
Hogget?
Yeah, it's called hogget. Yeah.
I've never heard of
And
hogget.
they measure it for something to do with the molars. I just know this from chefing days, another job. But something to do with when the molars come out, and then they're mutton after a certain age, when they get to a certain age.
So maggot meat is still deemed decent, and you
Hogget, yeah,
hogget.
I think I don't know if it's ever sold as that. I don't know actually, but I just know that
You were throwing it into your stews though back when you were a chef, were you?
No, I had to break them down from scratch. That was one of my first jobs as a chef. Actually, was like getting a full lamb, like as in the full body, and breaking it down and learning. So you learn where all the cuts coming from.
You had to hack it.
You were also a bit of a butcher, like.
That restaurant that we worked in, there was like very much the philosophy, like nose to tail, nothing goes to waste. You know what I mean? You use every part of it. So in order to do that, you have to understand every part of the beast, essentially. Yeah. And you kind of break it down, and it's it's mad though. They're kept in the freezers for a reason. Not the freezers, the cold fridges, the big massive fridges. What you see in Rocky and all that.
They're hanging upside down.
They're hanging up like
You're
that.
punching them.
It's there for a reason, because like if you don't work quick enough, the fat gets warm, and all of a sudden it just turns to grease, and you're just covered in grease, like. Do you know what I mean? So it's in the cold for a reason, like. Yeah.
Right.
It's mad. Yeah, there you go. I've done a few.
And that's
My first job was
you'd think
delivering
hogget would be-
newspapers in
Nice.
Galway.
Nice.
Yeah, good times. 12. I think it was
What was
11.
the paper?
The Galway Advertiser.
Oh, I thought it was,
Yeah, the classic. And
Straight to the top.
I got fired from the Advertiser, and then I went to the Galway Independent. So I heard there was another kid in the somewhere around told me he was delivering papers. And I was like, all right, it was an older guy. So I called up the Galway Advertiser, and I was like, our neighbourhood doesn't get the Advertiser. Like, you need a deliverer in our vicinity, and that could be me. And so they.
How old were you when you made that call?
I was like 12.
Go on,
I was in primary school.
All right.
And
that could be me.
I'm gonna be that guy one day.
I've set you up a new website. I've set you up So they sent me out the next week a fucking big trolley and 200 papers, and I was delighted, and a little slip with like €12 cash.
Nice.
And I was like, unbelievable. I'll fucking.
How long did that take you?
Maybe 2 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, not bad for
That's
that
good-
age.
that's good money for 2 hours.
That's
Yeah,
good
yeah,
money
at
for
that
that
age.
age. The only thing is you're out in the rain a lot. Galway, you're in the rain.
rain's a lot in
You have to have
Galway.
a big fucking tarp over the papers. But then, so a couple of months later, I was away for 2 weeks with the family, and I got my mate to deliver them.
Yeah.
And this is why I got fired. He, instead of delivering them, so he went to collect them at my house, and then he just brought the trolley and got them and threw them into a skip down the road.
Yeah.
And then another neighbour found this. They're like, why didn't I get the Advertiser this week? Found them in a skip,
Yeah.
called up the Advertiser, said, look, and I got the...
You got the blame for it.
I got the blame for it. But I was like, that's a good idea. So then...
My brother had the ingenious idea when he was delivering, can't remember the name, it was the Dublin West local newspaper, but he had the ingenious idea of dumping them all into our own recycling bin in the house that we live in. And just like put a fucking few tissues on top, thought no one would notice. I think I found it. I remember opening the bin and going, what an idiot! What a fucking idiot!
Ever get caught though? Did you get away with it?
Of course he did. It was just like anyone was going into, like, it was our recycling bin. Literally, the papers are dropped at the front door. There's the back door, and there's the bin next to the back door. He literally just went boom. I'm not doing that. He was probably that lazy that he probably didn't bring them through the house. He would just come through the side gate and gone, no one will notice that.
Straight in. 10 seconds of work. Sorted. You burn them, you idiot. You have to hide the evidence.
Oh,
That's what
stop. I was just like...
Bonfire every Wednesday
that's the
morning.
only-
with the neighbours.
Yeah, exactly. I
at
was like,
5 a.m.
that's the only reason I told people. Something subtle like that. Yeah, yeah.
People driving to work, just one dark-looking 12-year-old burning a bunch of fucking-
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're not getting the newspapers this week. When you see the smoke coming up, it's like, all right, another paperboy's getting sacked.
Thank God for the internet. I'll just take my phone out now.
He's there going, what? It's the 12th of July. It's not, you fucking idiot. Oh, my God.
The old paper route, but that's a good first job, innit?
Yeah, and then I got the Galway Independent after that. Kept that one for years. So
Nice.
it's a good solid.
And with the advertiser, we're like, oh, we could have had him.
could have.
Because you let him go too soon.
We just never got the advertiser after that. I mean, it's funny. It must be weird being a local newspaper. How do you distribute and then it's just too much to keep on top of. They just kind of give up quickly. And I don't know,
What are the
great.
ratings like? Knock on the door. Did you get the paper? No. Oh, well, someone's getting sacked.
Yeah, that's 2 jobs. You have to deliver them and then go around. Did you get it?
Yeah. They hired me to check as well.
You can't give the same. Yeah. I'll do that as well. Yeah. I get paid.
Call them up again. You don't have anyone checking. For another tenner.
Yeah. For an extra tenner, I'll knock 2 off the top. Did you do it on a bike or by
No,
foot,
you
or-
couldn't do it on a bike because there was like 200 papers. So
Right.
that's why I was wanting, those American movies and the kid
Yeah.
throwing them on the bike. It's like, what, is he throwing fucking 10 papers? Well, he's not making money. You got to walk.
They're nicely
With a
wrapped
huge
up as
trolley.
well.
Big trolley, was it?
Huge trolley.
Through the letterbox.
Yeah, through the letterbox. And then I called up because I heard there was a neighbouring estate that weren't getting as well. And I was like, there's a neighbouring estate as well. And then there was like another 200. So I at one point had 400.
Oh my God.
So then, but the trolley couldn't handle it. They kept falling over in the wind. It was a mess. So then I hired another guy.
A whole newspaper racket.
So I had like a sub racket of
Wow.
getting the local estates in. Yeah,
And then you took a bit off the top, finder's fee.
just a coffee kind of price, you know. Just
Back in the day.
he figured it out quick enough. Called up the papers, did it himself. I was like, fair.
Oh, yeah.
So
I don't think kids would do that anymore, do they? Working like that. I could be completely wrong, but I don't see like maybe
Celtic Tiger ruined it.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, well, even like I said, my brother didn't do many part-time jobs, but like, yeah, it was. I suppose I do look back. You do get work ethic fairly early on.
Yeah.
The younger generations.
Work ethic is so important, isn't it? Because then you're
You
like, it
can't
doesn't
do
matter-
anything then.
You can do anything. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can turn your hobby, what you love doing, into a job.
That's all we've done.
So we've done.
Yeah, that's what we've done.
But we're
That's
working
awesome.
very hard.
Oh
We're
Jesus!
working very
Delivering my own flyers door to door now.
yeah.
I think my first job was in a fruit and veg shop. And that
Oh.
was cool because, you learn about fruit and veg.
It is actually, yeah. But
Because
like,
back in the 80s, like this is in the 80s, this is probably in the 90s. But, growing up in the, what it's like in the 80s, your veggies that were like carrots, peas,
yes.
maybe broccoli.
Yeah.
That's
That's
it, innit?
right.
You-
Even
you,
in
you
Australia,
know what a
okay.
pumpkin is because of like Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're like, kumquats? The hell is
How old were you?
That was probably, 12, 13. And then I remember there was this big, my favourite part, if something, say you'd bag tomatoes for a kilo, you put them in, and you wind them around in the clear bag, and you go clunk, the tape that wraps around
yeah.
it. Never got sick of that clunk.
Good
and you-
feeling. Yeah.
Great. And if they were rotten, you're not going to bag them, so you bin them, right?
Nice.
There's a big round white bin, and I would just smash, like any bit of rotten fruit, boom, in the bin. Anyway, one day, rotten tomato, brilliant. I ditch it in the bin. For some reason, the timing of this was insane. This is in the back, in the back of the shop,
Yeah.
and then there's a back door that goes out to the car park.
Yeah.
It full speed went down, went around the rim of the bin, the top of the bin, and then out the door. And then a car was driving through the car park, windshield, bang!
Oh,
A rotten
amazing.
tomato all over the front window, like that. Some dude comes in, he's like, "Who threw that?" Like,
Yeah, fuck.
Who threw that? And I was like, throwing rotten tomatoes, and then made a career out of it. Getting tomatoes thrown out. But I didn't get sacked though. I didn't get sacked.
You've gotten sacked from a few jobs. I've gotten sacked from a few jobs.
Oh, I got sacked from that job later, but not from that.
Okay. What was the one you said you were working in a job in like a wood factory? Was that- you were like sweeping up after.
Yeah.
And they had like a wood chipper.
Oh yeah.
I was
you
going to
put-
say, how bad is this?
Oh man, no, there's so
remember a job
man,
you got
there's so,
sacked from.
there's so many. I've gone through so many jobs, I can't even really remember. All. Yeah. I used to be a groundy for tree surgery, tree
Right,
surgeon.
tree surgeons,
They
yeah,
call
yeah.
them tree surgeons. They're
It's
just chopping off
becoming
branches.
a thing here, yeah.
Tree surgeon.
It's quite big in Australia, though. I presume,
Yeah,
with
because
all
there's
the
so many
forest fires
trees
all
and
that
there's like power lines, so my
Yeah.
boss would be up there with the chainsaw, and then I would just
collect
get
all the
bored, and like the rakes had wooden handles.
shit. Yeah.
So I'll just be like, watch this, man. Because, you know, a big plastic fronged rake, you watch the handle go in first, and then by the time the vibrations of it getting grinded up into that big thing, the trailer, it's like, I don't know, like a fish tail, you know, just like all the way in. And we went through so many rakes.
Oh, no shit! Imagine the fucking tree says, where's the fucking rake? Spend a fucking fortune on rakes, mate.
Yeah.
Damos.
What was your excuse, like, the first 2 rakes? You know, they're like, where are those rakes
Oh,
gone?
I said I left him at the last job. He's like, fucking Clark, stop leaving rakes everywhere. I'm like, and see, in my head, I was like, laughing at myself, going,
Genius. You'll
yeah,
never know.
I'm like, we have all the rakes right here, just in tiny bits in the back of the truck.
Did you come in one day with, like, the sellotaped rake put back together?
I was just going to say, a good boss would have made you fucking tape that back together.
Yeah. It was like Mickey Mouse and Fantasia, just all the mops, just grinding up all these rakes.
So eventually you just got caught destroying a rake.
No, I got sacked for, oh man, like, how bad is this? Because I was always like, because I was gigging at the time. I was 17, so it was like, I just turned 18, so I was doing gigs at night, like,
Right.
you know, open spots. And I was just tired during the day. And my job was to fill up all the chainsaws with petrol. And Ken, the boss, is a good dude, but man, he had a bad temper. You don't want anyone that operates chainsaws to have a bad temper.
You probably had a fine temper before you were on your
Maybe.
job.
He was on the...
What's your problem, man?
Yeah. You have a temper problem, mate. Ken. You need to get fucking therapy. Fuck your rakes.
It's only a rake, man. Jeez, this guy needs to go to anger management. Just destroying everything. He gave me one instruction. They just got their big, long driveway because he had a big country house. Big, long driveway. It was like this sort of dark red colour. It was real nice. Real smooth. Beautiful. Brand new. He goes, don't fill up the chainsaws on the driveway because it'll eat aggregate or whatever it's called.
Okay.
And I was so tired I forgot. I was right in the middle.
Eat the aggregate.
Like acid, it goes into
It'll
the
burn
driveway.
yeah.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Goes
they'll
into
see
the
it forever,
tarmac
basically,
or whatever.
yeah.
So you know exactly what happened. I was just filling up one of the petrols with a jerry can, and it was just overflowing. You know when you're half asleep filling up a coffee or something, just overflowing.
Yeah, but it's petrol.
but it's petrol on a driveway. And then I was like, oh, that's overflowing, and he's like, what are you fucking doing? And I was like, what? And there's probably still to this day, there's a big crater right in the middle of his driveway. It just ate right into it, eh?
Oh, fuck me.
So I think that was my last day. I didn't come back up. He goes, go. And I went. I didn't even. That was the start of the day. He was so angry. He just sent me straight home. His face got so red. He's like, you blah 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 blah. Yeah.
How old are you then? You're 18?
18.
Fucking
Yeah,
hell.
18, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Full
fucking...
on.
All those jobs, those like... it happens in kitchens as well, but all those manual labour jobs are fucking... The tempers that fellas have on these fucking buildings. I was on building sites for years. The fucking tempers that fellas have, like, and then do the weirdest shit as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I hate. There was one site I was on for 2 years. You had to use the toilet. You'd never want to have to do a shit, basically, because I'm like, I'm not going to those fucking cubicles because you do not know what the fuck you're going to find in there. And like, the fellas just be taking a shit on the cistern just for the fucking, you know, just so that you open and they go, Jesus. So that's all the reason they fucking do it. And some of the stuff that is written inside the toilets in permanent marker, like, lads, please flush the toilets. The cultures lead anything. just mental
Colchies for everyone listening outside is anyone
from outside Dublin.
outside
basically,
Dublin.
Yeah.
That is Irish.
That's what Dubs call anyone from outside Dublin.
Labouring jobs. There's no like HR to say, look, that's inappropriate behaviour. Shouting at this young minor and throwing a chainsaw at him. That's not acceptable behaviour. There's just, you know, it's just free for all. So
Absolutely.
any
Do you ever get
temper-
sent off on the apprentice errands as well? Like, you know, go in there and look for the skirting ladder. You know, you'd be gone for half an hour looking for
The
this
stripe
ladder.
paint.
Yeah, the stripe paint.
Get the stripe paint, the long wait.
Yeah, the long wait is a big one. Yeah, or the long stand. Yeah.
And where were you working construction?
I started off with a company. My first place was a company that made like wooden rooms for your back garden. You know, those types of things. So they had a factory where they were mostly pre-made in the factory, like IKEA, basically. And then they'd be shipped out to whatever house they're being put in, and then you assemble it. So you basically put them together in a day. And then the plaster would have to come in and plaster the inside of it, and the sparks would have to wire it. And then we'd do the second fix then, like hang the internal doors and do the skirting and the architrave and all that kind of stuff. So that was the first one. And then I worked for like another couple of big, this was Celtic Tiger time. So like I finished 2007 and then, it was December 2007 I finished, and January 2008, the crash happened. But I was already on the way out anyway. I was trying to get out of it anyway.
You were trying to leave, or they were just like...
I just didn't, like, I was only doing a carpentry apprenticeship because it was a way to get out of school. That was literally the only reason I did it. And I did try, like, I did well at the exams and all that kind of stuff, and I did knuckle down to it, but it just wasn't for me at the time. And it was it was Celtic Tiger. No one gave a fuck. Like, if I was to go back, like, I know some of the apartments around the city, by the way. I'm looking at that, I wouldn't be buying that one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just the materials they would use. Like, they would make skirting boards and architrave out of MDF, which is basically a combination of dust and glue, right? So whole apartments are fitted out with this stuff, the doors and everything. There would have been like floods or plumbing went wrong or whatever like that. As soon as water hits that, they just triple in size and they're useless. They're like cardboard, you know.
Yeah.
It was just a weird. Yeah, loads of lads got into it. Some lads did very well, finished their apprenticeship, managed to get to Australia, where still to this day you can make decent money as a tradie
got
in
a lot
Australia.
of chippy mates.
Yeah, lots of chippies over there. So you could do very well out of it, but. Yeah, it just wasn't for me. Because at that stage in my life, I had done nothing creative. Like I wasn't in acting. I was doing no performing,
Were
no
you into it,
comedy,
though?
no nothing. I didn't know.
Like, did you like watching it? Like,
I didn't even. Yeah, I'd been to.
by-
I knew when I was a kid, I would have known Billy Connolly was a comedian, so that would be my context as to what a comedian was. But what I've known around the time of my apprenticeship, I know the lads brought me to see Tommy Tiernan in Vicar Street.
Really?
But I still didn't have a concept of. You know, that this was a thing. I
Yeah.
never looked at him and was like, I'll be doing that or anything like that. No.
Yeah.
And then the first thing I did creatively was like 19. I started writing songs because of a guy I made friends with. So I learned a bit of guitar. And then by the time I was like 22, 23, I was in a band for a couple of years.
Hey.
So that was fucking
What was the band
great.
called?
It was called Fathom at first, and then it was the Brass Necks. But it was only a year and a half because the drummer fucked. It's always the drummer, isn't it? Fucking went to Australia. My brother's come up 3 times in this podcast, I realise. But yeah, he went off to Australia, and then we got a new drummer who was amazing. But that's the amazing drummers are always mad, aren't they? So he was like 3 weeks or 3 months into rehearsals. He was like, "What? We play jazz, lads, will we?" And we're like, "Okay, I think Bob's done with the band."
yeah. What kind was it? Was it rock?
It was in
indie?
yeah, it was that was indie rock was big at the time. Somebody it was one newspaper did a review of one gig that we did. They called us the Arctic Monkeys on crack. I thought it was a compliment.
That's
good. Yeah.
You could use that for your stand-up quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
Did you sing? Did you sing it?
I sang, wrote the songs, and played guitar. Yeah.
Oh man, what were some of the songs, or what was the?
Well,
what
there's
was the
one on
angst?
YouTube that you can see if you Google Mersey Trip, us playing in Whelan's, and it was a song I wrote based off. We had gone over to Liverpool to do a gig because we had a friend who owned this cool bar called, or was a part ownership called Heebie Jeebies, which is very. If you're in everyone in Liverpool will know this is like a very well known place. Lots of live music, and the same people used to own or still own the Jacaranda, which was the first place that the Beatles ever played. So it's got quite big. So it was cool for us to go play over there. But I won't name names. Let's say a friend of the family got us a big, massive bag of weed. Right? I remember we paid 50 sterling for it, and there was 4 of us for the whole weekend, and we still didn't get through that bag of weed. That's how much it was. Whoa. Yeah, there was just. I remember being absolutely out of it in the apartment that we were staying in. I remember stuff like my brother sitting there for hours with an umbrella, just putting it up and putting it down, putting it up and putting it down. My cousin, who was the bass player, he has no recollection of drawing this, but he's now an art teacher, but he was in NCAD at the time. And so he was good at drawing and all that stuff. He's no recollection of this. I remember my brother was wearing a box of Frosties on his head at one point.
Because they're great.
Yeah, exactly. But I still have this drawing somewhere. On the inside of the box, there was a pencil drawing of me asleep on the couch. I obviously nodded off. But there was Skittles, bowling ball Skittles at the top of my head. But they all had faces on them like that, right? And there was a bowling ball running up my body, like a really angry face, and I had 2 spider legs, and it was running after the Skittles, and I'm asleep. I have that drawing at home. So those lyrics ended up in the song, like, as bowling balls chase Skittles, we draw each other in our fuss. Welcome to this laughing Mersey town, kind of a bit of a trippy kind of lyrical thing that only the 4 of us in the band know. But it was a really catchy tune, a really catchy riff as well.
And now that's great, man. That's what rock song should be about. Drugged up,
Yeah.
lying around.
Yeah, because we had gone to do our early, when we were doing the gig in Liverpool, we probably only had 10 songs or whatever. We just did a half-hour set. But then, you have experiences like that together, then you start to, you naturally write stuff like that, And it's very visual what I was experiencing trip-wise.
How fucking strong is this weed, man? Like,
Yeah, it was pretty full on. But there was still half of it. There was half the bag left. We definitely got a bargain, whatever it was.
do you ever sing on stage now? Do you ever use that?
Yeah, I don't because like writing songs came from a very different place for me. So I don't know if I have thought about, I might like the way we were talking about Lee Evans earlier on, the way that he closes off a show or something. I might do that. I could see myself doing that, and not necessarily even being funny or like just even singing a cover or whatever, a sing song to close off the show type of a vibe. So I might do that. All right, but you tried it, didn't you?
I didn't sing, but I did like guitar gags.
Yes,
where I used like effect pedals.
Yeah.
Great. Well, one of them was like a sound of a car driving with distortion. So you could, like,
Very good.
Like, fucking gear changes. There's
Nice.
a bottle slide, and then it was a car crash. It'd make a big sound. Because that is the song. That is the sound of Brexit.
Because I did listen to
and then I had like a bunch of others where I just like kind of create sound effects almost on the guitar, and then like with punchlines in and around.
Nice. Because I did listen to the Fred Cook episode, or Cook, as maybe he likes to be pronounced. But it is another thing. It's definitely like what he's doing is like, it's like I haven't figured that out yet. And to me, that doesn't relate. It doesn't necessarily mean because I can sing and write songs and I can do stand up. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's a natural crossover kind of a thing.
It's a big investment in, because I did that for just only a couple of months. And would get like, I had like maybe 4 gags with the guitar, and they worked. But I was like, man, you gotta lug a guitar, an effect pedal, arrive early to every gig, set that shit up.
Yes.
All that investment in time, and I was like, for 4 gags, I was like, I'm not bringing this guitar anymore. But Fred obviously is a musical act, so then it's like it's integrated completely into the whole set.
What he does.
It's what he does.
Yeah.
And if you want to go down that road, like, you got to be willing to completely change yourself up, fucking start bombing, to figure things out.
Yeah, absolutely. Got one of the lads in the band from back. I mean, we broke up a long time ago now, but is coming on the road with me for a couple of my tour shows for the stand up now, because he just wants to come along and check out the vibe and all that kind of thing. But he was like, "Hey, you don't have to bring anything." He's like, "You're fucking joking me." Like, my Ford Focus at the time was like rammed with the drum kit and the work.
All of it in a Ford Focus, the whole band.
In a Ford Focus, man, yeah. No, the 2 of them had to get the bus, right?
It's either your equipment or you. You take a pick.
But you'd be juggling so many things. I remember one time driving down the Ongar Road in Dublin 15. I think it was on the way to the Whelans gig. Just about got the guitarist in the passenger seat, and you're under pressure for time. And I was on the phone organising something with the venue, eating a fucking pizza at Domino's off my lap while driving down the Ongar Road at the same time. And I remember kind of talking like this, going, "This is quite impressive, actually." They're great days. That's the one thing. Like, I love stand up, but that is the one thing that I miss about doing live work, is like when you feel like you're part of a gang. It's fucking brilliant. Yeah. It's even though you obviously fucking want to kill each other at the same time as well. It's great crack.
It's
just great crack.
Do you ever get that feeling? We've done theatre as well, so that kind of has a similar vibe where you go for pints with the crew and everyone in the cast. But do you ever get that? I sort of got this feeling like in Edinburgh Fringe, you finish a solo show and you could have had the best show ever. The audience come out saying, "Oh, we loved it, thanks so much," blah blah blah, and then, within 10 minutes after the show, all the audience have left, and then there's just this empty fucking room with whatever 80 seats, and they're just empty, and it's just you alone looking around. You're like, "Oh, what now?" Because you've just had this great big high, and then it's just a vacuum of nothing. You're
absolutely.
Like, you're like, send a message to some guy.
Are
you around? Like,
can anyone help me with my come down?
Yeah.
I find that's the important thing about having an opening act on the road when you're traveling with your own show. Your own show, like, I mean, I have 90% of it's just being good company. Yeah. And that's where being in because I've been an opening act for so many people. That's what's helped me being an apprentice in the past, I think that's partly why I'm good at it, because I understand how to feed what the other person is doing, if that makes sense. And you've got to be a good apprentice, essentially, to all these other acts. But yeah, just having somebody to chat with on the road, you know, like it's my second tour, was my first time kind of bringing somebody all the time with me, and it's just company is really important. Like it's so important to have the good conversations and to have the and exactly what you're saying for the come down afterwards. Yeah, it's just like it can be fucking brutal.
Yeah, especially if you've got like a 2-hour drive home. You get off, everyone's left, empty stage, and you're like, then you're driving alone. And you're like, fucking hell.
Oh yeah, there's no. Des Bishops did like he told me he done like I don't know how many tours on his own. I'm like, how the fuck did you do it? For like, because back in the day, it seems like people did. Maybe you'll know better. People seem to do way longer shows, like 2-hour shows sometimes, and all this stuff. But you know, you need the company. You know, I think that's the only reason I get half the work I do. I'm good company. If nothing else, well, he can hang a door and he can cook, so he's coming on the road.
If you're hilarious, but you're like awful chat or awful to hang out with, you're not going to get booked for it.
No way.
Much.
No way. That's a hard part of this gig
way.
of comedy. Yeah, even in clubs, if you're just really bad company, they'll be like, we'll get him in next year.
Exactly, you know? Exactly. That's all part of it. But I think in the stand-up game, it's a little bit hard because we are all individuals doing our own thing, so it can be hard to kind of. I mean, you guys are doing it on some level because you run a club together, but it's great to be doing something with more than one person. I actually started teaching in the last year, and I love that because that gives me some sense of camaraderie, because I'm like helping all these people who are starting it out for the first time. So you do feel a sense of part of a team, and they're going to do their showcase in the next couple of weeks. And
how old are these the students?
It's a complete mix. It's a complete mix from 20s to 50s.
What?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So the whole range of all these different angles of stand-up or whatever they want to talk about.
12 completely unique different voices. It's
Excellent.
amazing. It's amazing. And especially as when you helping, what I love about helping other people do their own thing, I have no sense of, I'm going to, I love just being part of the team to help people out, you know. So when they perform on the night, I have no sense of like, I want to get up and do it. Not at all. It's just like, this is for you guys, and let's have a bit of crack doing it, and let's have a bit of fun doing it. So,
what did you learn about comedy given workshops to groups?
How to tell jokes, and it's funny about teaching people stuff is that like you have to kind of learn it for yourself in a different way because you got to be able to articulate it. Yeah. So much of what we do is on instinct, and so much of the things that, and we also don't give ourselves enough credit. That's one thing I've learned. We don't give ourselves enough credit for the amount of work that we do. The amount of things that we do think about.
Yeah, because we have to be hard on ourselves, and a lot of us have low self-esteem anyway.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is that makes us want to have to get up. But we have to be hard on ourselves, otherwise we don't get better. Because no one's directing us.
No one gives a fuck.
If you're not hard on yourself, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But then when you're teaching, you go, no, well, I do know this.
Yeah.
So you can teach it. Otherwise, you'd be like, I don't know what to do.
I don't know. That is the thing that is shocking. That's the thing. That's the moment that makes you realize the work that you've put in. Because you're standing there watching somebody starting from nothing, and then you realize, right. No, you do not hold a mic like that. No, you don't start off with saying that. No, I can't hear you. Stop looking at the ground. But all that stuff. Yeah. No, that's not how you write a joke. Do you know what I mean? No, blah, 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 blah. And you realize it's kind of like by default, by all the work that we've put in to try to make our own thing work, you're actually picking up shitloads of skills all over the place. And it's just about articulating it and putting it. For me, it was like trying to put it together in a really simplistic format so that people could understand it and they're not overwhelmed. And for me, the way I thought about it anyway, it was a bricklaying process, basically. So I spent 3 weeks on working on persona alone. Forget about material. Forget about writing jokes. Forget about all that stuff. What is it that you've got in there that we can start playing with? Because that came from a James Acaster line that I heard him say in an interview once, where he said, quite often loads of people have really well written, really good material, but it's not for them. It's for the wrong persona. And we all know that. Like, we can't do each other's jokes. It won't work because it has to be for the persona. So that kind of resonated with me, and I spent 3 weeks with them just playing around with their persona. Then we go into writing. And then after that, 3 weeks of writing, and then 3 weeks of performance. But by the time they come to writing, they have a much clearer idea of who they're writing for, because they have a very clear idea of like what I'm going to be on stage, even though they have never been on stage yet.
Yeah, but that helps with the writing too, because they're like, what angle am I going from?
Yeah.
The persona of me that I've picked.
Exactly.
To go on down that angle. So they're like, I know what my character would do in that situation.
It's the first question really that you look at.
So then all those things that you have to pressurize yourself in order to be able to articulate to somebody else means that you can turn it all back on yourself. Then you can, yeah, why aren't you doing that, Stephen? You know what I mean? Why aren't you doing that work, or why don't you start at this point to get to the next point or whatever? And it just gives you more tools, I think. Over.
Well, sex and drugs and rock and roll. Quick break.
Yeah.
We want to talk into voice of Love Island Australia, which I'm very happy about. From Reraw, our lovely sponsor, Irish Lager.
Oh,
Want to give you a
amazing.
bag of cans
For me.
for you.
Oh,
for
guys,
you.
I gotta
Tote
put.
bag.
Is that the tote bag and all? Oh,
Yeah.
thanks very much.
Irish
really.
Lager, brewed
Which
in
department
Wicklow.
should we go to?
That's the instinct we're talking about.
That
That's the instinct.
Thank you, Rera, and you can follow me on the Stephen Mullan. Just send me more cans.
More cans.
It's a lovely new lager from Wicklow.
Wicklow. Oops, sorry, nearly
Brewed
fucking
in
dropped it
Wicklow.
there.
Oh,
Oh, I love the Buska. Do you remember Rera August Lulu in the Irish books back in the day in school?
Ah, Reraw
Reraw
Lulu.
Lulu, and
I
there was
knew
a
the
few-
fucking new Reraw
What is
from
that?
somewhere.
What is Reraw?
Characters, they were like, I think Rera was a fox and Lulu was a pig. I could be wrong, but in just when we were learning Irish, just the school books, there was these characters, Rera and Lulu, and
Just like basic little Irish sentence. Fi
Yeah.
Reraw August Lulu sa shopper.
It's a nice one. So, like, it's funny. What band? When did the band split?
the band split in like I think it was like 2008. I kind of pursued it for a little bit. And I would do stuff like I would sing like in hotel lobbies, you know, that guy who's on the guitar singing covers, and
You did that?
Yeah, I hated myself for it because I felt I was selling out. You know what I mean?
What, like Sweet Caroline or what stuff? was you
Yeah,
singing?
fucking Neil Young, Heart of Gold, or fucking The
Right.
Water Boys, Fisherman's Blues, and all that
That's a
kind of
great
stuff.
one. That is good.
Which now I you know, it's fun. But then I read Christy Dignam's. Jesus, this is a story. I read Christy Dignam's autobiography at the time. He had done one much earlier than the recent one. He mentioned this singing coach in the Belcanto School of Singing in North Dublin. I must have Googled it. I don't know if there was Google at the time. Yeah, there would have been. And I went down and I kind of learned how to sing Belcanto style singing for a year.
Oh, yeah?
And then as part of that, the daytime I was working with a charity where we were, so I'd left the building at this stage and gone to a charity where we helped guys coming out of Mountjoy to get them back into the workplace or get them into further education.
And sing at them.
Yeah, and I'd sing at them. Yeah.
What job would you like? Stephen, tone it down there.
Yeah. You've
And,
done your time. Now is your time to shine.
Ba 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 ba.
Jitterbug.
You don't need to shove things up your ass anymore if you don't want to.
What's jailbreak? I need to think about
Jailbreak. Yeah, man.
So then, do you know what? It was part of helping them going off to do what they wanted in life. I was 24 at the time. I dropped out of school. I just
And
done
you didn't even know what you wanted to do.
I
Like,
didn't know
oh,
what
someone else.
That's literally why I left. I was just like, hold on a second. You guys are. I'm helping you get to do what you want to do, and I don't want the fuck. So I just left that job. Just applied to a load of PLC courses. I got on to introduction to TV and film, actually. I lasted a week in there, and the teacher goes, I'm just taking the piss out of everything. He goes, there's a theatre fucking thing downstairs, you should join that instead. And in my head, I was like, I'll get this FETAC level 5, and I'll go on and do communications and DCU. I had no clue what any of this shit meant. But down there, they did an acting class once a week, and from that, the tutor was very good. She was like, you should go to drama school. I didn't really know what that was. And she kind of introduced me to RADA and all these places and all that. So I got to the final round of auditions in RADA, which was like the last 50 or 100 out of 4,500. And I'd never even acted like. I hadn't even. I was
And
just
RADA
fucking around.
is
the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts
Oh,
in
very
London.
nice. Oh, jeez.
And then
So they auditioned for here for London.
no, I had to go to London to do it. Yeah, I flew over to London to do it. I got into a few, but in my head I was like, well, if I don't get into that one, what's the point? I'll just be an actor. Like a fucking this is the arrogance of not knowing. Like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I wrote a funny email.
As if every good actor ever had to go to RADA. You know?
Exactly that was what was going on in my fucking head. And then I wrote a funny email. There you go, comedy got me there. A funny email to. I just googled the 3 agencies that I knew, acting agencies at the time in Dublin. One of them got back to me and said, Maureen Hughes, you know Maureen, liked your email. She got wind of it somehow. Brought me in for audition for a TV show called Raw. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They were too afraid. Apparently, the director told me afterwards he was too afraid to cast me. He was like, "You were very good, but I just didn't fucking trust you. I didn't know what you're gonna fucking do or not. You've never acted before, and all of a sudden you're fucking doing this audition." So Gary Hines, the director of Druid, took a punt on me and gave me a job, and that's how I became a professional.
What was the
actor.
play you got with Gary Hines?
Big Maggie, 2012.
Maggie. Wow,
Ashley
yeah.
O'Sullivan was Big Maggie, and Keith Duffy played Teddy Heelan.
Keith Duffy
from
was in it?
Boyzone, yeah.
No way. So
Sarah
you're-
Green
What
was in
character
it.
were you?
I was Mick Palpin, angry guy who takes the money box at the beginning of the plane. Effects
Wow.
off.
Man, I fucking saw that play. I must have seen you in
probably
it.
did it. You probably did, yeah.
No way.
Sarah Green was in it, who's gone off to do, like, she's a bit of a star. She was like in movies with Bradley Cooper. Charlie Murphy was in it. She was in Peaky Blinders. They really went.
That's your first acting job, and you're here with.
But see, the problem with
Boys
that was
on
that I
it
was like,
all.
oh, this is easy. So you just think you're gonna get another one after that, and it's like then you did feck all.
What did you do? Other stuff with Druid as well?
No, that was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I just did that one. That one.
Big man, is that John B. Keane? Is it
John B. Keane, yeah.
Yeah, I heard
John
it.
B.
Someone
Keane.
told me a story last night.
No way.
Yeah, about you.
On Paddy. About me?
Yeah, about
They
you.
did not.
They did.
Oh, here we go. So is
Here
this
we go.
the house party that you went to when you were sitting
Yeah,
next
you're
to that
bringing out a load
nudist
of
with the blood
nudists.
nose?
They don't know me, those nudists.
So several nudists came in and said, "Hey, you made a Stephen Mullins." I was like, "How'd you know?"
Yeah. This is what happens on Paddy's night. Just quickly, you know when you.
That was
when-
okay. A separate thing happened with the nudist last night, but another story. So I was having a drink with someone from Kerry. I'm not going to name names. Starts with a G, ends in Z. But they said to me that their
Jilsey
brother,
Fitz.
Jilsey Fitz.
I was thinking for a second. Yeah,
Jilsey Fitz from pretty much from Listowel.
That's right.
From
yeah.
the land of John B. Keane.
Yes.
Her brother
Yeah.
was on the final round. Oh no, I think he had the part in Big Maggie that you got in the end, right? So he was kind of already cast, right?
Right.
And he's from Listowel. And now maybe they gave this as an excuse or whatever, but they told him. So obviously they saw Stephen Mullan after maybe they had cast this guy, and they were like, "Oh no, actually, we're going to go with Stephen. This guy's smashing it." And then
we don't know. We can't trust him. It's so exciting.
This guy hasn't a fucking clue what he's at. We're going with him.
I want to see what happens.
He comes in a different stage door every scene. He crawled on stage.
He improvises all the lines. He's wearing different outfits. Like he wore a Victorian
He
dress.
burst in one day and said, "No, I'm Big Maggie."
Stephen, you are not Big Maggie.
Okay,
But we loved it.
Stop blocking me. Stop blocking me. I'm doing my thing here.
You wrote the play that went wrong
So-
without even knowing.
So Jilsey Fitz's brother, I think it was a brother, got cast in this play. Then he was told, actually, sorry, that role
It's
it's gone. We've given it to someone else. And he said, why? And this is what they said to him. He's from Listowel, where the play is set. They said to him, actually, your accent wasn't strong enough. This other guy's accent works better. And he's like, I'm from Listowel. Where? And then
I'm from
he found
Cork.
out, he
Makes me
watched
even-
it in the end. He saw you, and he go, "This guy's from Cork." He found out you're from Cork. I'm sure you did a good
Throwing
Listowel.
Now
rotten
maybe it
tomatoes
wasn't
at the
because
stage.
And he quit acting because of it. Well, he can sign up to my new comedy course.
Yeah. Maybe it should be a stand-up instead. Now, it might have been. It was definitely me because they brought that production back like 4 or 5 years later, but half of us had gone all over the place, and they had to do completely different cast for, like, for example, Sarah and Charlie weren't available, so there was a look part of it as well.
Yeah.
So then
Did you do the second
I
tour?
did the first one.
You did the first tour.
Because I went down to meet John B's family. I met his wife, who's since passed, Lord rest her, and Billy, his son, and they were great. I went down to check the accent, but the North Kerry accent it's not the same as the South Kerry accent. But anyway,
Kerry is like a
basically
soft.
Cork accent.
It's a softer. It's like a softer Cork accent with a little bit of a.
The North certainly no, because I mean it's not far from Limerick. You see, so
Yeah.
Listowel, it's not far. So it's but whereas the if you're down to Carsavino, you'd be a bit more like the Michael Healy Rays of the world kind of a thing, kind of like that. But I can't remember what the Listowel.
That was
one
good, Damo. Can you do a Kerry accent? Now?
No, I can't. No, I can't. I definitely can't.
He can do Jamaican though.
Yeah, very good with the old Jamaican accent. Yeah, man.
So yeah, it was that was a mad time, but it was also like you kind of think that it's easy then, and you just get another job, whatever like that. And the reality is like obviously luck is when what opportunity and whatever good fortune meet or whatever. I was lucky in that moment, but then after that it was pretty bloody hard, because then you had like the other big, the Abbey Theatre and the Gate. I'm like, oh, we'll see what this fucker's all about, kind of a thing. Because my dad said it to me at the time, and he's probably right. Druid are they're fucking great, aren't they?
Yeah,
like,
they're great.
They're
I
from
did a
Galway.
play with them. Yeah, they're great.
They're kind of rebels in the theatre scene a little bit. And I think they like to do stuff like that. I cast them like me to kind of go, no, there you go. This guy came out of nowhere. But then when, you go to the Gate and the Abbey or whatever, like, sorry, you haven't trained, you know, kind of an attitude. It was like, it was a bit
So
tricky.
Gary Hines is famous for being an amazing director and also having a bit of a temper.
Speaking of tempers,
speaking of tempers,
you wouldn't want to fuck around with her rakes, let me tell you, Dave.
He threw chainsaws across the stage.
Well, it's a she.
That's right.
Gary
We
Hines.
had this chat
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
She's
right.
she is amazing. But the thing in that production was we only experienced the infamous Gary's temper once, but it's because Aisling O'Sullivan was the lead, so they're two like powerhouses. Like Aisling is like, what an energy she is. So they did butt head once, you know, in the rehearsal room, and I swear to God, it was just like screaming heads off. You wouldn't see that in the fucking county final halftime dressing room, like the way the two of them went on. And then it was like once it ended, it was it, and they just got on with the scene.
Yeah.
So it was amazing to see that. Like that's how passionate they were about it. Like, you know.
Yeah, Eddie asked Gary a question, and she was just like, "What was she saying?"
Oh yeah, I think we chat about this before. So yeah,
You go. Why do I have to stand here? Or
No, so
something
she
similar.
told me. I mean, I was in the ensemble. It was and I think I had only like a handful of lines or something in this play. But she said to me, actually, no, you come in at this point instead, and come in from that door, and just stop in the center of the room, look around, and then walk on this line. So she was blocking it in her head.
Yeah.
And then in my head, I was like kind of new enough to acting, and I was like, well, what's my character's motivation to just like walk in, stop, and then just like march back out? I was like, and I can't remember. Yeah, I asked her. I was like, oh yeah, just wondering, yeah, why would I come in at that point? And she said, I don't give a fuck why you come in. You just fucking come in. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Start the scene.
Exactly.
I was like,
Yeah.
fair enough. Like, you know,
What I say?
You wouldn't be surprised to hear her.
I don't have time. She doesn't have time for this
Exactly,
shit. You know,
exactly.
figure it out. Go.
If she, you wouldn't be surprised to hear her going, why? Because I'm paying you. Get on to fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that would be the attitude. I got it once. I thought it was one of the funniest things ever because that. Do you know what I'm talking about, the casting thing? Like, I got changed character the first 3 days into rehearsal, so I was supposed to play Morris, who was the eldest of the siblings, and I got switched to Mick. And I remember being gutted at the time because, especially in those times, being the eldest meant something. It meant that you were going to get the land versus somebody, versus the wife of the deceased or whatever like that. Blah blah blah. And so I'd done so much research into the whole thing, and then I was just getting switched to this guy. But then I got it in the end because it's the dynamic of the other person. It didn't work because he had to be the hothead, but it wasn't believable. That then, you know, that if I was the hothead, I just had bigger energy. Therefore, the other guy would be a bit more wimpy about the whole thing. It didn't work in the dynamic between the two of us. But she like literally just like, by the way, you're going to be playing him now. Like, you've learned all the lines of the whole character, the whole thing. Or you just fucking get on with it. But the best she did to me was, in the middle of the scene, and my character bursts in the door, and he's fucking fuming. He's about to rob the money box and tell them, "Oh, you can go fuck yourself. I'm out of here. That's it." And he takes all the money. And so I burst in the door. They've a fake rehearsal door, you know. It just has the architrave for the door into it. I burst into the door in the rehearsal room like that. She goes, "Okay, stop." And she goes, "Charlie, can you do a bit more of this? Paul, can you do a bit more of this?" And blah, blah. And I like the way you're working on that. "Okay, we'll go again." "Oh, yeah, and Stephen, can you stop coming through the door like fucking John Wayne, will you?" And I was just like, ego down like that. 'Cause I was like, as soon as she said John Wayne, I was like, yeah, that's it. That is very John Wayne.
Yeah.
John Wayne.
She cuts straight to the core. She
Exactly.
does.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
amazing. She's amazing.
And so, did you find that when you acted in the first one, were you like, okay, this is me now?
I was, after rehearsal was done and the lights went up on the opening night in Galway, I was kind of like, right, that's great, that's done now. And it's like, well, you're doing it for another 5 months. I'm like, oh my God. I was just I was like, I'm not fucking doing it. Do you know what I mean? It was just bored. And it'd be very hard to get me into rehearsal. I did another production of something else. It'd be very hard to get me in a rehearsal room again now. It's just too fucking much.
Yeah, it's a
too
lot.
boring.
Jesus,
it's too boring.
it's exhausting
It's
and boring.
exhausting. It's just
Do
like
a
fucking
scene
make
again
a decision
and
and
again.
crack on with it. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah. The freedom of stand-up is fucking great. Where
Exactly.
even if you're on tour doing your own show, if you're on tour for a year, 2, whatever,
Yeah.
you're like, well, I'm just going to throw a new bit
Exactly.
in here and there.
You can decide what you want to do every fucking night.
Every night. You've just absolute freedom. You're like, it's my show. I'll actually cut this whole chunk out today. I couldn't, you know, you're just like,
Yeah.
can't keep doing the same thing every night. And then you just keep
I
changing.
love it, yeah, because at the Edinburgh Fringe, you know, at week 3, everyone's like, I am sick of my show. Like,
Yes.
I've never had that.
Yeah,
because if I'm sick of a bit, it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, another bit will come along.
Exactly. That's what I think being a comedian is closer to being in a band than it is to being an actor. For me, anyway. Because like my relationship to being in a band was like, write a song, bring it to the lads. We kind of put a few riffs, we put it together, and then just go play to an audience. It's as simple as that. Whereas as an actor, you got to wait for somebody else to write the fucking thing for you, and you have to hope someone else likes it, so you get the fucking job. Blah, blah, blah. By the way, if anyone's casting anything, I'm totally happy to do it.
Yeah. You need a truckload of funding. Then
you need a truckload of funding. You can't just go make it.
You need all these other people to decide it is worth making, and sometimes that's all fucking box ticking exercises, and it's such a long process.
I'm making a film.
That is exactly that is the buzz for me personally. That's the buzz for me of comedy. Is like I made something, it works. That's the buzz. That is the buzz for me. Not even as much the laughter's like I made something and
I remember my first open mic gig I did, because I was doing acting prior to that. Did one open mic, wrote it a few days prior, practiced it a bit, went up, did it. It went fairly well for a first gig.
Yeah.
But it was that thing afterwards. I was like, man, I just fucking made that out of thin air.
Yes.
I just fucking wrote a few things, got a few laughs, and I was like, I can just keep doing this. I'm not asking anyone for anything. I can just get up again next week and do that, or then tomorrow.
Exactly.
And then I was like, I'm in straight away, just fucking
That's
every
the
day.
kick for me, it's the creative satisfaction. And that's where you learn, like, because lots of friends that I was with in acting and all that kind of stuff, they're still enamored with acting, they still love it, they still love getting involved and all that. I just don't have the patience for it.
It takes
I do not
patience.
have the patience.
The patience to wait 3 months, 6 months for your next big gig to come along.
Yeah.
And to be, I could,
and to do something that you mightn't even fucking like that much.
Yeah.
And then you moved to London. Were you pursuing acting or
yeah,
comedy
I
at
moved to
this
London to
stage?
pursue acting. Yeah. And what happened was, like, I couldn't take the. It's funny, I couldn't take the rejection of the acting, but then you become a comedian. Is there any more, more like harsh? Yeah, I had. I think I counted the time. I was like 5 projects that I was really working hard to try and get off the ground.
That idea it would just imagine if we went off at a crowd in a play the way you do when you're on stage. Like all 3 of us. If somebody's like, "Come on, guys." That is funny. Or when you imagine if you did your line, it didn't get in response in a play, and you're like, that's brilliant. What just happened there with this character?
Pull apart the joke, blame the audience.
The writing. You see, the character that came in early, that was a taught from that. You
call back, you fucking idiots. The only time I've seen that was when I went to a school in Cabra, and the English teacher brought us out to see Macbeth in the Olympia one night. Of course, we all got fucking buckled and turned up, and the cast
You were heckling Macbeth.
Yeah. The cast actually stopped and started talking to you. You fucking, have you got any fucking manners? And the lads, Macbeth, you prick. The fucking, I remember the teacher, because she sat next to me.
Were they talking back to you in iambic pentameter?
No, they were just fucking fuming. They were fuming.
In Shakespearean.
No, I remember.
Heckler comes
If thou don't silence thy lips,
thou dunst brains.
Doing thy veil. But I actually didn't do anything, because the teacher had me sitting next to her from the start, 'cause she didn't fucking trust me. And then it was all the other lads that were fucking buckled. Fucking, Macbeth, you prick.
The trust.
She grabs my leg like this. I'm like, oh, miss. And she's like, stop it. Tell him to stop it now. I was like, it's not me. I'm fucking here. But yeah, she was fucking mortified. I think they had a break and they fucked us all out.
I was doing a tour of like a kind of educational theatre, Oscailga.
Oh,
we were doing a play. What was the fucking name of the play? Rera. And
Rera Zulu.
Oh, yeah. I was a little pig.
The stage version, the fox and the pig, comes to the Gaiety Theatre.
Gee, quit your posty. No, it was a very it was a very serious play, and I was playing this pervy man. But anyway,
How'd you get that role? I wasn't even in the play; I just creeped on.
I actually got the director told me off. We were like into the run 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, and the director had like directed it a certain way.
Yeah.
Then he came and watched it, and he was not happy with the changes I made to the character throughout the run. The perviness went up 10% each night, because I realized I'd get bigger laughs the more pervy the guy was.
Yeah.
So by the time like 2 weeks in, I was coming on getting a laugh. Pervy move number 2, big laugh. I just had pervy moves throughout the scene. And then the director like took me aside after. He goes, Eddie, what have you done?
Taking your trousers off.
Put your trousers back on and come in.
He was like, that's a serious scene, Eddie. I was like,
not anymore.
You can't be banging your scrotum off the table during that scene.
Playing the helicopter.
With sunglasses on and a big Mac coat.
Big Mac. Anyone want a newspaper? Call back, people. Call back.
Heavy breathing. I'm playing and creepy man. Like
I was like a side. I was like a side character, though. You know, I was supposed to come in, like, be a bit creepy, say a couple of lines, get off. I came in. I was like the star of the scene. You know, I just stole the fucking show. And, like, who is this lunatic creep who's come in?
Did somebody say bun?
Yeah.
Assless chaps. And
I wasn't asked back to that theatre company again.
Amazing.
What were we talking about prior?
The educational play.
Oh yeah, fucking talking about teenage audiences. Fuck
Oh,
me.
yeah, yeah.
We was doing it in we're doing it in Galway on Tyve York Theatre, and there was a school in, man. It was all Leaving Cert students because this play was on the Leaving Cert curriculum, and man, there was this one rough school in from Mayo, and they fucking had little snaps. You know, are they called snaps? You know those things
peach snaps.
No, the things you throw.
Oh, the caps.
The caps.
Oh, the cap guns.
Oh,
yeah.
You know, like
Snap. Oh,
snaps.
pop-ups.
You throw,
Oh, yeah, but
like
the ones that are in
mini-
the bags, yeah.
Yeah, you get them in tiny little mini bags. You throw them and they make a
Brilliant
big
idea.
bang, like mini
Yeah.
bangers. Yeah, they
Love
they
that.
brought a
And you're
load of
fucking
lads.
epileptic.
They fucking. They brought a load of these into the. So it's from like this third row back. They were throwing snaps at me as I was trying to do the scene. And I was so raging. I was like, do you know how funny this scene could be if you let me go full creep, you sons of bitches? But and I had to hold myself back so much from turning. And I had masks. It was that kind of like commedia dell'arte type
Oh,
style.
right, yeah.
I was going to rip the mask off and jump out at them. And I got so angry at the ushers afterwards. The ushers did nothing. I was like, guys, what? How did you not kick these fucks out?
Yeah.
But
There's nothing worse. Even in comedy, when that shit happens and people are fucking shit up, and like there's not security that aren't fucking doing shit like in theatre.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
like, oh, sorry, I didn't realise.
It's up to you. It's up to you. No, it's not.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's literally up to you, you prick.
So so London,
London.
acting, and then you started stand up there, right?
So yeah, London kind of like when all those projects fell through, I was definitely feeling dejected about it, and I just got balls deep into the restaurant that I was working in and started the chef and all that. And my theory at the time was if I exhaust myself so much, so I was doing waiter shifts during the day, because you got to understand, loads of people want to work in this restaurant. They'll work there for free as chefs because of what you'll learn, you know.
Whoa.
So I started working for free on my downtime.
Oh,
shit. So I would literally go downstairs,
That's
take
a
off my
great business plan. Just make it super cool.
But the top restaurants in the world have like 90% of staff are stagiaires. That's what they call it.
No.
And they're
Or
working
just because
free.
they call it
Yeah.
a fancy name
Yeah,
or
yeah.
French name or whatever it is.
No, there's obviously a
stagiaire.
lot of people that can afford to do that kind of a thing, and then they'll go on and open their fancy restaurants themselves. But yeah, I was just like balls deep in it, and I was like, if I don't call, like, I was done with the acting thing. I remember I got offered a couple of jobs, and I nearly didn't do them. One I didn't do, and then I said with the agency at the time, I was like, I will do this job if you talk to me about looking after me for comedy after that, because I had started to do it. And the only thing that got me to do it was like my mother's 60th birthday. I came back to Dublin for that, and my dad asked me to do a speech, and I just wrote this funny thing, and I'll never forget my uncle wiping tears away from his face because I was impersonating the two of them, my mum and dad going mad at each other, whatever that.
Great.
I did not walk out of the shot naked. Oh, you did, man. Do you remember all this stuff like that? And that was like, oh, fuck, that felt good. And I felt, I clicked there. And of course, my dad's, I'm telling you, for years you should be doing this, you know. And so then I started open mic in London and died in my hole for months, but then kind of figured it and kind of, it went from there. And then with my, you know, when I was becoming a father, the agency said if I came back here that they would look after me for that. But London was a great grounding for me because it's very hard.
Yeah.
The audiences don't give a fuck. The open mic over there is very hard. Like, I was shocked. I remember when certain people were starting over here in certain clubs here in Dublin, they would start off in 7 minutes. I'm like, 7 is way too long to be starting out. And London was 5, and it better be bang, 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 bang. And I got, after 8 months, I managed to get open spots at the bigger clubs there and stuff like that. And I've never thought of, except for lockdown, I don't know how you guys feel, I've never thought of giving it up. And it's like, it is a heartbreaking, exhausting game, but I've never thought of giving it up because of that feeling of something comes, I'll go tell people, they laughed. Life makes sense now.
I don't think I could ever give it up.
No, I don't think
don't
so.
know. No way.
I don't think so. I've never, and it's been probably the toughest of anything we've ever done, kind of a thing. But it's like, it's never crossed my mind to give it up. I could be happy.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm glad we all fucking held out during, because a few people did give up during lockdown.
Yeah, that's
people,
true. Yeah,
they just couldn't hack the fucking.
Probably people that had other skills.
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Other interests.
like rake grinding.
Yeah, like grinding or earning money regularly.
My girlfriend was on to me about getting a proper just solid job where it couldn't lockdown. She's like, Eddie, it could be
mean
another
your
year, could be 2
ex-girlfriend?
years. Yeah. Like, goodbye to you, a job. Don't you know me well enough by now? But And I just couldn't do it. I did like part-time work. I got a bit of video editing work, things like that. But I was like, I can't fucking go into a full-time job. Like, I'm holding out. I am holding out.
For me, at this stage, it's not even about fucking holding out. For me, it's like I know I can't work for anyone else anymore.
Yeah, there's that.
That's it.
Job I got closest to getting during lockdown, because Sandra was like, you can't just not earn money when you're a kid. Blah, blah. There was delivery drivers. I was like,
I would do that. I would do that.
I can drive.
Especially half of the fucking DHL guys around my way. They're fucking having a clue anyway. I'm like, parking fucking in the handicap spot or whatever like that. Coming I can do that.
We've been doing that for years without delivering things. So I was like,
I'm going to put DHL on the side of my car just to just start parking in disabled spots. Hey,
DHL sponsored by the Craic Den. Lads, I have to leg it because I have to go up to Armagh. Who's Ma? Your Armagh. Yeah.
Supporting Garrod Farley.
Garrod Farley tonight,
When's your solo show?
Sorry, my solo shows are in Dublin. It's on April 23rd. But if you go on to thestephenmullan.com, and thanks to everybody who's come out to the show so far. It's going great, thank God. So, this coming week I've got Portlaoise, Galway. Actually, Galway. Come on, we could do it with a hand with that.
Where are you doing in Galway?
Town Hall, the studio in Town Hall.
Yeah, man.
So that'd be amazing. And then Clears in Kilkenny as well. So the show's called Ouch. It's a celebration of all the things in life that make us go ouch. When I talk about Love Island, being a single dad, and mental health. And
as I
all that
mentioned,
stuff.
Stephen is the voice of Love Island Australia. Yeah, because you were doing that all through the night. Here, you were recording
I was doing that on Australia time. It was all the opposites. So it was winter in Ireland, it's summer in Australia. It's daytime in Australia, it's nighttime here. So I was winter Ireland, nighttime going, welcome to Love Island, Australia. And like in a fucking flat of my own on Gardner Street outside. That's my boy, you prick.
What, did they set you? You set up a little home studio?
Australia was locked down. No one's getting in or out. So I had to do it all. I did the whole. I had to do the whole thing. In lockdown and on my own. Like
wow.
It was pretty mental.
So they'd send you an edited episode with some
They would send you the gap, but I did it all blind as well because the technology didn't necessarily exist to be able to watch playback live. So it was like, I mean, it was quite a feat on everybody's part to be able to even do it from the other side of the world.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it was mad. But we got there. We did it. Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
You
got a podcast as well, don't you?
Oh, there's a new one coming out. Yeah.
New pod.
It's called Friend Zoned. Myself and Taryn O'Sullivan.
Hey,
yeah. So it actually, we went on national radio to promote it about like 3 weeks ago, and it's still not out yet. But we've
these
got
things take time if you want to do it right.
Yeah, you got to do it right. We've got a great producer on it, and and there's over 100 episodes of Hello Steve-O podcast if people want to listen to that.
Hello Steve-O is great.
But I love I love working with. I think this is actually the podcast thing. Is I'm not doing this on my own anymore. I want to fucking do it with people and to have help and all that kind of stuff. So we have an amazing producer who's kind of doing it all, and very grateful for it. So it's great crack. Taryn and I have a very funny dynamic, so that's where it came from. I mean, the whole idea of Friend Zone is like in Edinburgh when she happens to be horny. She said, "Would you do you want a shag?" And I was like, "No, thank you." And that's where that's the concept of the show.
Immediately.
Maybe not a shag. How about a podcast?
It's better. It's more commitment.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I can do that lasts longer than 3 minutes.
Garrod's going.
You better get up. Woo! Say good day to Garrod.
But keep listening to the Crackdown and keep coming to the Crackdown as well. It is my favourite club in Dublin. So thanks so much for having me on, guys. I genuinely appreciate it.
Thanks for coming, man.
At the Stephen
At the
Mullan.
Stephen Mullan and thestephenmullan.com for tickets.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the set. We're getting kicked off.